Wassup YouTube, Pokeprimer here. I'm ready to deliver you our week number 7 team builder here in the PFL Major Leagues here on the channel. This week we are taking on Chopper and the Pannonia Pangoros. Last season in the PFL Majors, we actually beat Chopper with our not so great team, so hopefully with a better draft we can once again solidify a victory against him. But he's been doing fantastic this season. He is also 5-1 right now, as we are, so that's going to be a really tough match. So hopefully we can come out on top in that one. It's going to be really tough though. I'm definitely not expecting to win, but I'm going to do my very best to do so. His team consists of Thundurus, Incarnate, Mamoswine, Cobalion, Chestnut, Meloetta, Gramble, Mega Gyarados, Latias, Swampert, Dragalge, and Fletchinder. So definitely a really solid team. Mega Gyarados is a huge threat. Latias is annoying as hell. Swampert's fat as hell. Dragalge's scary. I'm terrified by Dragalge. As for Cobalion's scary. Mamoswine is a huge threat. Thundurus is a problem. A lot of his team is very filled with problems, and I definitely want to address that appropriately. So hopefully this team can pick up the win for us. First off, we have Chimpact, the Infernape, rocking the Choice Scarf this week. Blaze, just because I didn't really need Iron Fist. Close Combat, Overheat, Grass Knot, and U-Turn. Max Attack, 4 into Special Attack, and Max Speed. The Max Speed is so we can Speed Time with the Cobalion. If it's not Choice Scarf, we can definitely outspeed it and Close Combat the fuck out of it. We can also use this to beat the Meloetta if it's a pure Wet form. So there's that. Also, this just allows us to outspeed pretty much the majority of his team, outside of like a Scarfed Latias and a Scarfed Thundurus, which I don't believe he would bring a Scarfed Thundurus because of the fact of having a Prankster ability. So that's cool. We have the U-Turn for obviously reliable switching. He's going to try to switch things into it. You know, potentially the Latias could be a switch in. Dragalge could be a switch in, stuff like that. And if we can fire off a U-Turn, we can get out and bring in the appropriate mon to handle it. We have the Grass Knot, which is there specifically for the Swampert. If Swampert wants to try to switch into us, we can go for the Grass Knot into a KO. Overheat is there because of the Cobalion, but also because of... Yeah, no, it was for the Cobalion, because just in case of certain spreads, Overheat does more than enough damage, and it catches it on the switch, and it does loads. It's nasty tough stuff, and Overheat can pretty much one-shot most things that try to switch into this thing, outside of like Mega Gyarados and Latias. Some of the things that it switches in, it does negligible damage, but other things that he might switch in does more. And I decided to bring this over Fire Punch or Flare Blitz because Overheat is guaranteed to one-shot the Chestnut 100%. So that's the plan with that. Close Combat is just, again, for stab, so it's spammable against his team. Mamoswine don't take it, Cobalion don't like it, Pirouette Meloetta doesn't like it, Mega Gyarados especially doesn't like it. This is kind of our way of handling. If Mega Gyarados gets the +1, we don't have to worry about it as much anymore, so we can handle it appropriately. So that's the plan with that. And that's going to be our Infernape. Next up we have... Bangs the Piloswine with our Eviolite Thick Fat. We swallow them hits. 108 HP, 148 Spadef, and max attack. With a Brave Nature, we don't need the speed. Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Ice Shard, and Freeze Dry. Freeze Dry is for Freeze Dry. Just because freeze dry is actually going to be super effective on a Swampert, and actually 2-hit KOs the Swampert. So there's that. Having the max attack allows the Earthquakes and Ice Shards to do more damage, so that's awesome. Stealth Rocks, just because it will do a lot of damage to Chopper's team, and he doesn't really have a super like outside of Latias's Defog, he doesn't have a reliable way of removing these hazards. So the rocks can do big damage to his team. So that could be very useful. Overall, this Pylon Spawn is just here to bulk shit out and eat hits. I believe I forget what special defensive investment was for. I believe it might have been for Thunderous, maybe, or it might have also been for the Dragalge, so we can handle the Dragalge better. But so we'll see what happens there. But this thing can handle the Dragalge very nicely in the match if it comes down to that. So we have now next Sailor Moon, the Colberberry Packin Cresselia, 236 HP, 252 defense, and 20 in Spadef with a calm nature. That 20 in Spadef with a calm nature, I do believe I had that specifically for the Dragalge, and that involves taking a modest Draco Meteor. I don't remember what item I had listed as the item for it, but that does allow us to take a Draco Meteor from a Dragalge, so that's really nice. It allows us to take 2 actually, because after the special attack drop, we get to go. We Moonlight up on it. Bulk is just there in general for good purposes. The Colberberry, actually, with the Colberberry, +1 crunch from a Mega Gyarados does not do all that much to us. So either, depending on what HP it's at, we will either click Thunder Wave if it's at a higher HP to paralyze it and make it easier to handle for the rest of the team, so it's not even a threat anymore, or we go for the Energy Ball to KO it. We can KO it to about like 35%, I believe. Depending on his spread, we can do about 30 to 35% or so to it. So depending on what he's at, we can go for that instead. Psychic is there just for stab. Psychic I figured would be better because of the Chestnut, and Cobalion could take neutral damage from it as well, hitting it on the special side. It's more physically bulky. I know the Dragalge will eat Psychics a little bit better, but I'm not too worried about, because I don't think Dragalge versus Cresselia is a matchup that's going to happen, but you never know what can happen, so we'll see what happens with that. I'm not too sure about it, but I think Psychic is a better option this week than Psyshock. So the next mon we have is the Human Scolipede, Life Orb, Adamant, Speed Boost, 60 HP, enough speed to outspeed regular Meloetta. So if he brings a Scarfed Aria form Meloetta, we will outspeed it 100% of the time. And then after Speed Boosty Boosts, we outspeed everything, barring Scarfed Cobalion, and Scarf Latias, which I'm not too worried about a Scarf Latias. I don't think it's going to happen. But we will outspeed those things. Sword Dance, Mega Horn, Poison Jab, and Earthquake. Basically, if we get a Swords Dance up against the right mon, we can essentially sweep his team. Because there's no combination of mons that really handles this. He could try to paralyze this thing with Thunderous, which I guess would be something he could do, but we can still kill it. Mega Horn will nuke the Latias, nuke the Meloetta, nuke the... what else are we nuking with this? A lot more things marked down. Nuke the Mega Gyarados as well. Poison Jab will tear through the Gramble, even if it tries to intimidate us, that's fine, we're not too worried about that. It'll also do big damage to the Chestnut. And then the Earthquake is for other things, assortedly, like the Cobalion, the Dragalge, and the, that's it, actually, yeah, that's it. Everything pretty much just gets touched neutrally by this. So that's the plan there. Uh, So we're gonna see how this Scolipede works this week. I think it'll do pretty well. Next up, we have Raiden, the Mega Manectric. I'm gonna put him back as a Mega, so that you can see the Mega stats. So that'll be a thing. He will have Intimidate, so I'm not worried about that. Just throw that in there. He will have Intimidate. Boom, boom, boom. It will Intimidate. It specifies right there. But we have enough speed to outspeed a max speed. Something that was scarfed, I believe. Something that was scarfed, we outsped it with this speed stat. I believe it was Scarf Mammo? Or +1 Mega Gyarados. No, +1 Adamant Mega Gyarados is what we outspeed. So, very, very interesting here to see what can go down with this situation. So we'll see what happens. With that, that's kind of the plan, just as a way of, again, checking the thing. If it does set up to +1 and kill something, we can put this in front of it and beat it, essentially. So we'll see what happens with that. Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, HP Grass, and Flamethrower. HP Grass is 100% for the 100% for the Swampert. So we'll see what happens with that. And then Flamethrower is going to be there for the Chestnut. Chestnut could kind of wall this set, and Flamethrower would prevent that from happening. So hooray, 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 Raiden, the Mega Manectric. Lastly, we have Excalibur's, the Eviolite Doublade, Shadow Claw, Iron Head, Sacred Sword, and Shadow Sneak. Just 4 attacks, bulky Eviolite Doublade. So we'll see what happens with this. I think that it could do a lot of work. Shadow Claw touches everything neutrally besides the Mega Gyarados, so that's good to note. Shadow Claw and Shadow Sneak are there. Shadow Sneak's for priority. If something's weak, we can pick it off. Sacred Sword is for the Mega Gyarados and the Cobalion, and the Mamoswine as well. If we can get a hit off on one of those, Sacred Sword is going to do a lot more damage. Iron Head is also for the Mamo, plus the plus stab, plus for the Granbull. If we can bring this thing in on the Granbull, we can pretty much wall it. It can't do too much to us. And an Iron Head's still going to do a decent amount if we're not intimidated. So we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of excited for that. We'll see what happens with this set. But with that being said, I'm going to get us into the battle now. If you guys have enjoyed this team builder, please leave a like down below and subscribe if you haven't already, and enjoy the battle. Peace. What's up, YouTube? Pokeprimer here, ready to deliver you our Week 7 battle in the PFL Major Leagues. This week we are taking on Chopper and the Pannonia Pangoros. We've been on one hell of a tear this season. They're currently sitting at 5-1. Like us, actually. 5-1, just like us. So, this is going to be one hell of a match. Absolutely terrifying matchup. I decided to bring my Infernape, Piloswine, Cresselia, Scolipede, Mega Manectric, and Doublade, as you saw in the team builder. As you can see that Pangoros brought the Latias, Mega Gyarados, Thundurus, Dragology, Cobalion, and the Swampert. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the matchup. So I lead with my Manectric, knowing I can outspeed pretty much anything and get out of there. I'm going to Mega Evolve turn 1, intimidate the hell out of this thing, and I'm going to go right for the HP Grass. And he's going to reveal the Rindo Berry. So Rindo Berry, to allow him to get those Stealth Rocks up. Good stuff right there, but he knows he's dying to the next one. He's going to switch into a specially defensive Dragology. I was able to pick that off immediately. So I'm going to Volt Switch myself out and go into the Blade, which completely walls this thing. It goes for the Scald. It does not get the burn, thankfully. As it can't do anything to my Blade, so it's just going to head on out of there. I'm going to go for the Shadow Claw, catch the Gyarados on the switch, do a little bit of damage, not too much, but something. And I'm going to go immediately into Raiden and intimidate this thing. Immediately in. Now he's going to Mega Evolve, and he's going to get the Mold Breaker up, and he's going to go behind a Sub. Now, that's all well and good, but I'm going to be able to Thunderbolt this Sub, get it out of there, and he's going to Dragon Dance. Now, I am actually EV'd appropriately, and you see he switches, so I'm pretty sure he figured this out. I'm EV'd appropriately to outspeed a +1 Adamant Gyarados. +1 Adamant Mega Gyarados. So, no matter what, I was going to outspeed and kill this thing here. So, him switching was smart. He's going to go into his Lanias and catch that Thunderbolt and get paralyzed, which really sucks. I'm sorry about that. Chopper, you know, what can you do? But I'm going to Volt Switch out on this Lanias. I don't want to stay in here. I don't want to take a Draco. I'm going to go into Sailor Moon here and catch an HP. I'm not sure what hidden power that was. Maybe it was HP Fire. I don't know. But ate it up. I'll just go for the Moonlight, predicting maybe a Draco or something. He goes into Thunderous. I'm going to bounce out into Piloswine and see what he wants to do. He's going to go for the knockoff. So get rid of my Eviolite, which kind of sucks. And then he's going to miss a Focus Blast, which is really huge. And I'm going to go for a Freeze Dry, predicting the Swampert to come in, which is really huge. That would have been really cool. I go for the Ice Shard, do a huge chunk of damage to the Thunderous, and he actually goes for the knockoff, predicting me to switch out after seeing the Focus Blast. So he knows that he's going to die to an Ice Shard. So he switches into the Cobalion. Smart play on his part. And he's just going to be able to close combat me and get this thing up and out. But that allows me to go into Sailor Moon and kind of just be safe to just do whatever I want. Cresselia can just kind of click a move and guarantee something's going to take some damage. So I'm going to actually go for the Psychic as he goes into the Mega Gyarados. Now, he's going to go behind the Sub as I try to T-Wave it, which is really unfortunate. He sets up a DD, and I'm going to go for the Energy Ball, which is going to break the Sub. Now, he goes for the Crunch, and I actually numb on my Colbur Berry. Beautiful stuff. Get my defense lowered, and I fire off the Energy Ball and kill off the Gyarados. So that was huge prep that worked out on my part. I'm really happy that worked. He's going to go for the Iron Head on my Sailor Moon as I paralyze his Cobalion, which turns out to be Lumberry, which is really cool. I'm potentially thinking Lumberry, potentially Swords Dance Cobalion at this point, but he's going to be able to take out my Cresselia, which is perfectly fine. Not worried about it. He goes for the Volt Switch on my Excaliburs and goes out into his Swampert as I go for the Shadow Claw and get a little bit of chunk of damage off on that Swampert. I actually stay in here and take that Earthquake. I don't know why I did that. I just go for the Shadow Claw. I didn't really have anything, I think, at this point to take the Earthquake, so that's kind of why I did it. I thought about switching into Manectric, but I guess it just didn't seem like a good idea. So I sacked off my Blade, which actually you're going to see later in the match, and I'm going to explain it then, was a horrible move on my part. So I'm going to go into my Scolipede and fire off a Poison Jab, which is guaranteed to KO the Swampert from this range, and now we're going to get my +1 speed. And into the Thunderous we go. Now, I felt the Thunder Wave coming. I just really did. And I come in and I get the Intimidate off and this thing, and bam, there's the Thunder Wave. I did not want to be Thunder Waved. Not a chance in hell. Nope, no Thunder Wave for me. He's going to actually switch out into his Lanias. So I'm going to go for the Volt Switch and predict the hell out of that Lanias. So I go into this Human Scolipede. Once again, I fire off a Mega Horn and I miss. This could have been huge, but he gets fully parried, so I guess hacks for hacks in that sense, so we're safe there. I'm happy about that. He's going to switch out now. He knows he's going to take a huge chunk of damage. I hit this Mega Horn on the Cobalion, and it's like, ah, shit. That thing didn't die. Stop not dying. Please stop not dying. He's going to actually switch now again into the Latias as I go for the Earthquake. So that was interesting on his part, just doubling out. He could have easily killed my Scolipede at that point. But I am going to Mega Horn, and I'm going to wipe out the Latias. There it is. And now I'm at plus like 4 speed, and now he's going to go for the Thunder Wave on me with the Thundurus. Which is fine, because I'm going to go for the Poison Jab and take out the Thundurus. So now it is a 12% paralyzed Scolipede against a Cobalion and a Dragalge. Cobalion's going to come in, Iron Head, get rid of me. And I'm going to go immediately out into Raiden here, intimidate this Cobalion, and go for the Flamethrower and absolutely decimate it. But at this point, this is where keeping Doublade around would have been huge. Keeping Doublade around would have been huge because I could have beaten this Dragalge 1v1 with the Blade. Because at this point in the battle, between the set that I have on Infernape and the set I have on Raiden here, I cannot beat the Dragalge. You're going to see Thunderbolt is our most damaging move against it, and it does nothing. Sludge Wave is just going to wipe us out. And we're going to go now into our Infernape Chimpact here. And our most damaging move is going to be Close Combat. We're going to do a decent chunk of damage, but that's the best we're going to be able to do. And a Draco Meteor is just going to end our lives. And that is going to be a 1-0 victory for the Pannonia Pangoros. Such a good game, such a really good game. I'm really impressed with the difference between this season and last season for Chopper. Last season we were able to beat him with not that great of a team, and this season he got a really good team behind him, and he's really stepped up his game. So I'm really impressed by that. Good game to Chopper, really good game. We fall to 5-2, which isn't that bad, which is really good for our first full actual season with the Major League. So I'm really proud of how things have been going. But hopefully we can bounce back next week. Next week we actually have our rematch against Rampage and the Indiana Reapers. We beat him pretty solidly last time, so hopefully we can do that again. But yeah, that's going to be it for now. Without further ado, I'm going to get out of here. And until next time, guys, I'm Pokeprimer, signing off.